Alright, time to talk about the man who brought capoeira to the mainstream and then reinvented himself a dozen times over, Mark Dacascos. If you know, you know. Only the strong turned living rooms into makeshift rotas in the 90s. Mark didn't just play Louis Stevens. He made the world Google capoeira, before most people even had Google. But before the movie posters and slow-mo kicks, there was a kid from Honolulu trained by his father, the legendary Al Dacascos, founder of One Hop Kuen Do. He grew up with a hybrid philosophy: adapt, evolve, blend. It wasn't about memorizing moves, it was about flow. That flow, you can see it in everything he does, not just the speed, not just the flexibility, the rhythm. Only the strong didn't work because of flips alone, it worked because Mark made every motion feel like a beat you could count, and yes, he did the work. He trained capoeira specifically for the film, learned from masters and put the art on the big screen with respect and style. But here's the twist: he could have stayed the capoeira guy, he didn't. Let's hit the roll call. Double Dragon, pure 90s fun drive, an underseen gem where his timing and stunt game go off crying Freeman, moody and lethal with camera-loving elegance Brotherhood of the Wolf, French action horror that let him be a graceful storm, John Wick, Chapter 3, decades later, where he turned fanboy admiration into razor-sharp villainy as Zero That Sushi Scene. The reverence, the humor, the menace, you don't get that mix without serious range. Range is the word with Mark. One day he's a disciplined hero, next day he's the best kind of villain, charismatic, polite, terrifying. Then he goes full theater kid energy as the chairman of Iron Chef America, chomping into peppers and delivering kitchen showdowns, like a martial arts, kata. It sounds wild until you realize it's the same skill set, physical presence, timing, and commitment. On TV, he turns up everywhere like a secret boss-level Hawaii 5-0's recurring nemesis, stone-cold cool agents of SHIELD, a blade in a suit. He even danced on prime time and looked right at home, because when you've trained your body to tell stories, dance is just another dialect. Let's back up and talk. Craft Mark's martial arts aren't a grab bag, they're an ecosystem. One Hop Kuen Do integrates techniques from multiple styles: capoeira's spins, Muay Thai's strikes, Kung Fu flourishes. That's why his fights read so clearly on camera. He knows where to put the power, where to hold the line, and where to sell the hit. Another piece of the puzzle: humility. You hear it in his interviews, always crediting stunt teams, choreographers, his father, his teachers. That's not a PR move. In martial arts, humility is part of the training. It keeps you learning, and that's how you go from leading man in the 90s to stealing scenes in 2019 without missing a beat. And let's talk impact. Only the Strong didn't just entertain, it introduced capoeira's music, culture, philosophy to millions. A lot of people took their first class because of that movie. Some stuck with it. Some just kept the soundtrack in their heads, but either way, that's influence. There's also the representation angle. A Hapa kid from Hawaii, headlining action films, making waves in Europe, Asia, the US, and then becoming a pop culture icon in a cooking show. That expands what an action star can be. You don't have to fit one box. Mark chose all the boxes, and then built new ones. If you're new to his work, here's your fast-track watch list. And the Dangastan Kang, on action for the Capoeira Foundation. Drive, for crisp, inventive fight scenes. Crying Freeman, for stylized cool Brotherhood of the Wolf, for cinematic flair. John Wick. Chapter 3. For Vetterberg Kram, for Descordatatus Confet, for Bondervender Bombster. Swagger, and sharp-edged fun. Pay attention to the details. The footwork that sets up the spin, the breath before the burst, the way he plays character during the fight. Garbider,